Welcome to my podcast. I'm a spiritual guide, teacher, sannyasin, and coach working across the globe. I bring you face to face with the healers, mystics, and visionaries shaping the new world. This is the way to enlightenment. Welcome, this is Satyam Hidraya. Today I have a special guest, Hans Kloosterman.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Hans. And I'm gonna interview Hans because Hans is also for me. As you know, people just come when I'm in line. People just come and show up, and Hans showed up. And
my name came through. Pew!
And I connected with Hans, and I said, Hans, I want to have an interview with you because you had quite a life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, still living.
Yeah, lucky you're still living. We just had a lunch, and during this lunch, I already had asked some questions. But what you said, you had a normal life, and from the normal life, you became spiritual.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something about the beginning of that?
Yeah, where did it start? I think I was just not happy, and but I didn't realize. Yeah, I realized that because the first 19 years of my life, I lived at home, and my father was an alcoholic and a narcissistic man, and was not very happy and didn't know what to do with his life. So, as a child, you want, of course, recognition and a connection with your father and your mother. That's the most important thing as a child. You want to have a connection with both.
Yeah.
And my father was not really interested in me and my brother. He was only interested in my older brother. So you already try to understand that, why there is a difference, why my father is not on my birthday, why my father is not in the hospital, why he's not showing up. But for me, he was an important person, a figure, which gave me food and shelter, etc.
Yeah.
So I was not really happy, and I already started very young with escaping to his grandmother.
Okay.
So when I could, I just left to study there, to stay with her, and for me that was a beautiful escape, because the tension of an alcoholic and a narcissistic guy who continuously wants to feed himself by punishing and hurting another, because a narcissist needs a donor, and because he can't feel. And of course I also had compassion with my father, because he had to go to boarding school, and he didn't have the love, and he was very sensitive. So I also could already feel compassion as a child, but still it's important that I don't become the father and I don't take care of him and my mother. I'm a child.
Yeah.
And that's your place, and they have to take care of that place. And
so your grandmother stepped into a place where she didn't belong, or?
No, my grandmother, she saw the weaknesses of her own son.
Okay.
And she tried to compensate that by inviting me a lot, because I was like him and he was young, because I look a lot like him, internally and externally. So she recognized, this is a very sensitive child, and I didn't brought my son up in the right way. Maybe I can bring up my grandson in a nice way and give him shelter. Because he was very violent, physical violent and emotional violent, my father. So I was already as a young child busy with happiness and unhappiness and suffering. And I liked to escape. So I went to fashion school.
Okay.
Because I thought, when I do a fashion school and I become a buyer, then I can visit the whole world and I don't have to be home. And I was always interested in culture, other cultures. So as a buyer of at the Bijenkorf and at Promus, and I was selling director at Perisport. So I really focused on the external world, not on the internal world. And for me, because I didn't feel a lot of value, I thought I was not good enough because my father didn't wanted me. So I added value by working hard, a lot of money, 3 houses, a Porsche, Gucci shoes, and a lot of external things. But that finally gave me some safety.
Because I want to say something, that's a dream for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the material dream, and that is perfect because I still like a comfortable life.
Yeah.
But now, because I'm happy and I like to share everything I have with people.
So, but where was the turning point? Because you were a director, you arranged the...
Well, I was busy with escaping and doing and going to other cultures. And because I went to India and I went to China and I went to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and to place production capacity with my buyers for clothing production, I came in contact with Hinduism and Buddhism. And I first started to read books about it just to be polite to the persons I worked with and to be respectful and to know their customs. And so first it started just as respect to the people I was. But then I became, when I was 27, a buying director of a men's company with 60 stores. And pressure and stress came in my life. And then I thought, I did some yoga and meditation when I was in India, visiting some people, and that gave me a lot of rest. So I started the 5 years education of 3 years Hatha Yoga, 2 years meditation next to my work. And that really helped. That really helped a lot to experience less stress.
Yeah.
But also when you do yoga meditation, you go to the inner journey, you go within. And that was new because I was always looking outside because my father could hurt me, beat me up. So your alertness is very high on the external world.
Okay, yeah.
So to change it with yoga and meditation to go to the inner world, then I saw then I recognized that I was very unhappy inside, and I met all my traumas.
Okay.
I had traumas like, in my dreams, when my father beat me up, came back in my dreams. So then I found out that I had a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders.
Yeah.
PTSS. And actually also PTFS, that means post-traumatic freeze disorder.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually functioning continuously in a sort of freeze. And so yoga and meditation is lovely to come in contact with your pain spots in your nervous system.
Yeah.
And I saw that was not good enough. And also Hinduism, I loved it. The Eightfold Path of Patanjali, the Bhagavad Gita, beautiful books. And I also read a lot about Osho because you're staying in Osho Center, and sometimes I also teach in Osho Center because what Osho says and what the Buddha says is quite similar.
Yeah.
And some girlfriend took me after 5 years of study of Hinduism to the Dalai Lama in Brussels. He was there three days in 2005, 2006.
Have you spoke with him?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because I also was for the part of time his chauffeur, and for 5-10 years we just followed him everywhere he was to have all those teachings.
Okay.
And
because I just met him lately.
Oh, lovely!
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Very special, because this man for me has a very special energy. We just were together, and he was just caressing my face and was like, for me it's such a special energy, and how was he? Did he? You said you traveled with him, or you traveled where he was?
Yeah.
And how was it for you?
Well, because I met him 3 days, but that was, of course, with 4,000 people, so you don't have individual contact. But everything he said directly reached my heart. So he was teaching about interdependency, so the relation between everybody, you and me, and the energy.
Yeah.
He was teaching about abundance. He was teaching about a lot of subjects. And everything he said touched me in my heart. So I changed from Hinduism to Buddhism. And I started to become a monk in 2006, monk in education. So I finished now the 15 years of study, because it's 15 years of study to be a monk.
So you were a monk?
I was a monk, yeah.
You was a monk, okay.
We are 2025, 2014 I stopped being a monk.
Okay.
Because with my Tibetan teacher, Lama Zopa, he said, I don't think it's the right path for you.
Oh, wow, okay.
And also the last teaching, the Buddha has only 3 teaching. One teaching is self-compassion, self-love, meditation, yoga, and you learn in all those kind of things. The second teaching is about if you are good enough and you are worthy and you can do yoga, meditation, and all kind of those things, then you're going to take care of other people. So then the interdependency comes, but also the development of 10 virtues. So like love, compassion, equanimity, joy, ethics, generosity, enthusiastic. I don't know the word in English, but blah blah blah. So you have 10 virtues to study.
Okay.
Also the Wisdom Sutra of the Buddha, which is beautiful. And then so you're going to help only others with no egocentric interest.
Okay.
And the third teaching is about all tantric teachings with your teacher.
Yeah.
Where you just dissolve into unity.
Okay.
And that the destructive side of the ego disappears, and then you become one with everybody. And that's why a concept is not necessary anymore. So I'm not a Buddhist anymore, I'm not a monk anymore. Yes, I'm human, but all labels disappear. And then you become one with everybody.
And because
it's a lot of information in a short time. and everybody's thinking, oh my God, got a lot of knowledge.
But also the word enlightenment is coming into my system.
Yeah.
Do you believe in enlightenment, or is that enlightenment, or what do you think about it? Because a lot of people also in the spiritual realm want to reach the phase of enlightenment.
Well, I think the Dalai Lama and also myself, we don't talk about enlightenment. We talk about a level of liberation. So if you are liberated of negative thoughts, if you're liberated of negative emotions, if you're liberated of negative pain in your body, if you're liberated of negative forces of connections with energy, so if you're liberated on 4 levels, then you can call yourself, wow, now I'm liberated.
Yeah.
But you can never be, so you can be in your core. Like I'm now, after a lot of disasters and teachings and practicing, I'm in my core, which is very, is 100% peaceful, is 100% love, is 100% forgiveness. So this is where I'm always at. It doesn't matter, of course there are situations and there are coming waves into my spirit, small waves. So when I was younger there were big waves, and the equanimity, the balance was far away. But now whatever happens, and I'm tested by the energy around me, because my best friend has a cancer tumor, my best girlfriend has a heart infarct, My father is in dementia in a home. My mother is in panic. So there's a lot of waves around me. So because of my practice, I can stay very quiet in all those fluctuations.
Yeah.
And that's it's not called enlightenment. It's called that you are just in contact with your inner source.
Okay.
And I think you can never be enlightened, because when you go further in, it would be very egocentric and individualistic to say I am liberated. Because how can you be enlightened if you have developed a lot of compassion, and if you have studied and meditated on in the dependency that we're all connected? And if we're all connected and there's so much suffering around me, how can you be enlightened? It's not possible, because all energy is connected. So you are suffering in some kind of way, you're somewhere in your spiritual path, and I feel some pain spots and some early trauma, which is not yet freed. So how can I be so arrogant with spiritual arrogancy, say I'm enlightened, if I feel that I can be enlightened if the whole planet is enlightened and beyond all other planets. Then the Dalai Lama says, then you are enlightened.
Yeah.
So it's spiritual arrogance to talk about it like this way.
Okay. And I also, on my way to here...
Oh yeah, but you're saying you're enlightened.
No,
okay. So I think, this is becoming quiet. He's becoming very quiet. So what does it make you feel that you're enlightened? What is your definition? Because it's all about the definition.
Yeah, it's all about the definition.
Yeah.
And it's also connected with because I believe when you don't solve your problems in this life, it will come back in the next.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I also believe in reincarnation.
But Osho says that he was going and he was never coming back.
Yes, you have the choice when you're finished.
You have the choice when you're finished.
Well, I had a dead experience, because with 120 kilometers with my car, I went with aquaplaning to a viaduct.
Yeah.
And then I rose up in white light, and then God, which I couldn't see, said with a manly voice, do you want to stay here or do you want to go back to the planet? So I had a choice, because in my opinion, I developed a lot, and there are also other places where you can help. It's not only the planet Earth.
Okay.
So I wanted to go back, but if you are you didn't work on yourself, and there's still a lot to do to understand human life, because human life is very precious.
Yeah. Then
I think you can be sent back. Maybe next time they send me, I don't have a free choice. They think, now your spiritual arrogance is also big, so you have to go back and suffer as a human, because being human is suffering. Okay. There is no suffering. When I went up with God, there was only love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
So there was not the duality of pain and pleasure.
Okay.
Because this is the human existence. We want the whole day. We want pleasure, and we want to push away pain. And the Buddha said, Dalai Lama says, this is the cause of the waves. Because you want everything good for you, and you want to push away everything which is not good. That's why we have a human body with the senses. Tasting, was the lunch nice or not nice?
Yeah, it was very nice.
Did the fruit smell nice? Did it look nice? How was the music which we played at the background? What were your thoughts? How do you feel? So we have 6 senses which are causing the whole day, every second, duality.
Yeah.
And if you can bring that duality to neutral, then you have this calm sea, and your individual wave becomes the ocean.
But also, because I want to just take it back for a moment, like...
you're in lead.
Yeah. Because when you die, I believe that you come back if you don't solve all your problems. Then you will just come back in
I think you're right.
You think that I'm right? Okay.
Yeah. So, Buddhism...
even when you solve all your problems, will you come back also then? Like,
no, then you have a choice.
Okay.
So Buddhism is saying, and I believe that before you are born, you choose your parents, you look at your previous life and you think, oh, I look at my film which I played, and the film, the things I wished for to play in this earthly life, I didn't learn them. So I will go back to learn them and to become whole.
Yeah.
So I think you will come back until you remember that you're whole and that you are God and that you're unlimited. So if you have that insight, then you don't have to come back.
Okay.
Because then you become one with God again.
Yeah.
It's still following, or it's difficult?
Yeah. Because I also have done the Bardo of Osho. It's a very, very intense death training. Because
we also have that in Buddhism, same name.
Yeah.
49 days we go from one level to the other.
Yeah, it was very intense. But I was, because I had cancer. I also have been in a very bad motorbike accident, and I said, okay, I want to go into this Bardo training because I want to feel how it is to feel the other side.
Yeah.
And the other side is not scary.
No, it's love.
It's love.
That's why.
Don't kill yourself now. But
well, it doesn't matter
because you're just coming back. But yeah.
Well, the spirit never dies. So this little individual piece of energy, it just is with no beginning and no end. Only the illusion of the body disappears. So the spirit just goes to the ultimate spirit. They just connect again.
Yeah.
But the body is disappearing.
And I before we end, I just want to ask one question for people that say this is abracadabra, or they're just starting in their spiritual.
Well, people who think this is abracadabra don't look at this podcast. With the first sentence, they already do click and go on. You want to have pleasure and not so serious talk.
But it's very good to dive in and to see and to explore and maybe people that are not so conscious, they are.
And there's no judgment. Everybody has his own level of development, and that's okay. So the first lesson is don't judge. And I still have problems with it. But don't judge, because when you point a finger to somebody else, 3 fingers are pointing to yourself, the Buddha says. So if something is irritating around you, just point 3 fingers to yourself and ask, why is this irritating? Why is this a trigger? How can I solve this trigger? So there's never a cause in the outside world. It's always inside of you. So the external world is a film from your internal world. So that's deep psychology.
Yeah, but that's also for people, if they really listen to this and they go inside and practice it, because you have to practice it, they can see the fruits of it.
True, but as you say, this is what people are not doing. So Western people, they just read the book.
Yeah.
And they fill themselves with knowledge, which is perfect. First you want to understand. But if you don't practice, then you also don't realize change. So Dalai Lama says it's 1/3 knowledge, 1/3 practicing, and 1/3 working on the realization of the change in body and spirit to pureness, to wholeness.
Yeah.
So we stop at reading the book, I understand. But then it begins the practicing and realization of change.
Yeah. And if you look, because you have been doing this for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
If you look in those 25 years, if you can say, okay, this was for me the most beautiful spiritual experience what I had.
Well, I think as people who know me know the story that because I'm quite stubborn and quite. I don't know. I need some terrible lessons in life to wake up. So first, when in 2006 I had this car accident, I became dead because I worked 7 days a week and was only busy with the external world. Because I had this terrible, deadly car accident, after that I went to Tibet and Nepal to study Buddhism, so I had to change my life. And 4 years ago my relationship ended, and out of nowhere blind panic and anxiety attacks begin. And then I start taking pills, which I didn't have to do, lorazepam, and I became addicted to this lorazepam. And so I didn't want to feel my deeper pain and deeper layers of the consciousness. When I look back, what did it brought me? 2 years of being addicted, depressive, suicidal. I think it was the most beautiful period of my life. It was unbearable, but it brought me more in contact with myself, really in contact with God continuously on a permanent level. But it was terrible. 2 years being addicted and suicidal and no energy and hyperacusias. You hear all noises, tinnitus. I had a lot of psychosis. I think that's the word in English. So I didn't know anymore what reality was. I couldn't sleep. And so I think that's the most beautiful. When I look back, is that the most beautiful period, because I didn't commit suicide or euthanasia, which was planned.
Yeah.
I went to a clinic to get rid of this terrible medicine of lorazepam, and but it was also a victim role. Just didn't want to feel the pain. So my Tibetan teacher, where I was 6 months in this period, he said, "Yeah, you don't want to go through your shadow side. It's your struggle." So I think it's the most beautiful thing. Pain, real going through the pain is the best what you can do in human life, and don't avoid it, because otherwise it becomes a spiritual bypass.
Yeah, because it sounds like horrible, but you say it's the most beautiful.
When I was in it, in this very narrow consciousness, it was huge suffering and unbearable. Yeah. But now when I'm out it, I see how pain can transform you to love.
Yeah, and you bring this by also doing workshops?
Yeah, so after I came out of the clinic, I wrote a book, What is Happiness for You? It's a workbook. In 10 chapters you go to happiness or enlightenment, how do you want to see it or call it. And the last 6 years I transformed to trauma coach, because the main reason of suffering is that you have very old trauma in your family history or in your previous lives, and if you can reach them and solve them, you become free, and then you can help other people to become free. So I do theater with this book and with this title, What is Happiness for You? And I do 6 days a week. I do trauma coaching with sexual abuse, emotional neglect, violence, car accidents, suicidal persons. So 6 days a week I'm really suffering. I'm really not suffering, I'm serving. I'm serving others, which gives me a very good feeling. And I was always serving people, but out of my old negative convictions. And now I'm free of negativity, and then you can serve to help people with their pain spots. Okay. Which gives a lot of purpose to your life.
And you have, I think you have a website. So
I have a website.
I will put it in the bio, so it's okay.
HansKloosterman.com, and you can find me, and it's in English and in Dutch, because I work internationally, also online, and I love my life after a lot of pain.
So thank you for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you too. It was a lovely lunch, and you're a lovely person. And I wish you all the best.
And do you have, before we end, do you have
one advice to people?
Yeah, maybe one advice to me also.
Go through the pain. There's liberation. There's love and light through the pain. You have to go through the pain. This is human life.
Thank you.